Stay safe, reduce your contacts. Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead Aherne. Today's top stories. The latest breakdown of cases by local electoral area shows large increases in parts of Waterford. The relocation of a Brexit campaign office to Waterford has been referred to Comreg, while in sport tonight's FA Cup third round tie between Aston Villa and Liverpool will go ahead. The number of COVID-19 cases in the Tramore electoral area increased by more than 500% last week. 226 cases were confirmed in the area, which extends into parts of Waterford City during the 2 weeks ending on Monday. That's up from just 34 cases the week before. WLR's Julie Smith has the details.
On Monday, the 14-day incidence rate reached 1,010 in the Tramore electoral area, well above the national average, which was 674 at the time. Waterford City East, which includes Dunmore East, had an almost 300% increase, up from 36 cases to 138 to give an incidence rate of 600. The number of cases in Waterford City South increased by 1/3 to 71 to give an incidence rate of 315. County Waterford, however, stands out as having the lowest incidence rates in the country. There were 11 cases in Lismore, 29 in the Dungarvan area and 25 in Portlaw Kilmacthomas. Their 14-day incidence rates were between 102 and 142. Nationally, Belmullet in County Mayo had the highest rate at 2,111, followed by Adair Rathkeil in Limerick.
A Tramore-based GP says it's vital people lock down and stay at home. Rough estimates on Monday indicated that around 1 in 20 people in Tramore had the virus. Dr Austin Byrne describes the situation at his practice now.
We've had 275 in the practice here, which puts us at 4.9%. So really, really high numbers, and they're continuing to feed in. Now, we have had some settling off over the last few days, which is really positive with people staying at home. But it's just critical that we stay with this because otherwise things could start to escape.
He believes around 10% of the town could have the virus.
While we're at 5% that we have measured, we're not currently measuring contacts. So we can add a little more onto that. And we know even if we do that we will miss half of cases. So the reckonable rate of Tramore COVID is probably in the order of twice and some. So certainly in excess of 10% of the town have met and are capable of transmitting the virus within the last 14 days. So really, really important that people just lock down and stay at home.
The HSE says it's concerned about the pressure on some hospitals as the number of COVID-19 patients continues to rise. There are now 1,151 people with the virus being treated in Irish hospitals. There are also 109 patients in intensive care. A deal with private hospitals is now being finalised to provide extra capacity. HSE Chief Operations Officer Anne O'Connor says there's concern about the procedures not going ahead while non-urgent care is on hold.
So the procedures that are the urgent, time-dependent, cardiothoracic, cancer surgeries, etc. They're the types of things that we want the private hospitals to take on because those people need those treatments and interventions.
A freelance medical journalist from Waterford says her heart goes out to any first-time mother. The South-South-West Hospital Group has announced that from Monday, partners will no longer be allowed to attend the 20-week anatomy scan. It includes University Hospital Waterford and is part of efforts to limit the spread of COVID-19. Danielle Barron's expecting her second baby and is due to have her scan next month. She spoke to Damien Tiernan on Daysha Today.
I can really understand why the goal is to limit the traffic in the hospital. You know, they're obviously trying to keep not only the mammies well, but the staff, and we're really trying to bring down the numbers of people going through the hospital full stop. So I can see why, but I mean, it's just distressing. It's distressing for the women, it's distressing for the men, and they're a bit left out.
The EU is purchasing another 200 million doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine with an option to buy a further 100 million. Taoiseach Micheál Martin's welcoming the move and says the deal will add significant extra supplies of the vaccine over the coming months. Ben Finnegan has more.
If the deal with Pfizer and BioNTech goes through, the EU would have 2.3 billion doses of a vaccine for COVID-19. These additional doses would be delivered from April this year. A proposal to buy 200 million doses will be put to member states, and the option to buy a further 100 million doses will also be on the table. President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen says there is more than enough vaccine between Pfizer-BioNTech and Moderna for every European.
With these two authorised vaccines, we have already secured an amount of doses that we need to vaccinate 380 million Europeans. And this is more than 80% of the European population. And other vaccines will follow in the coming weeks and months.
There is a hope from the European Commission that if needed, neighbouring countries to the EU could benefit from the vaccine orders.
The government says it would be inappropriate to make a decision on the state exams by February 1st. The move was called for by the Labour Party after the UK decided to cancel this year's GCSEs and A-levels. ASTI President Anne Piggott says if the case numbers decline significantly, they will be willing to look at going back to school sooner than next month.
I think part of what we didn't understand either was 3 days a week. I think a lot of people thought, why open for a few weeks for 3 days when maybe you could close for 2 weeks and then bring everybody back after that?
A Fine Gael TD has described the situation by a Brexit campaign to relocate to Waterford as cynical. Leave.eu has moved its registered office from the UK to Waterford in order to maintain its .eu domain name. Neil Richmond is Fine Gael's spokesperson on European affairs. He says it's more than a website.
This is an absolutely horrendous organisation that played a very prominent role, not just in the Brexit referendum, but the subsequent negotiation process. And indeed, they were actually fined considerably by the UK's authorities in relation to their role in the referendum for activities. But they've moved their offices from the UK to Waterford. That's in order to maintain that .eu domain name. By maintaining the .eu domain, they maintain their brand, they maintain their high returns in terms of search engines, their place on social media. It's a really cynical move.
The FBI is offering a reward worth over €44,000 for information about pipe bombs left near the US Capitol building. They were found at the headquarters of the Democratic and Republican parties while Donald Trump supporters were rioting on Wednesday. A picture of a suspect's also been released. Mr. Trump has since condemned the violence, saying those responsible will pay.
America is and must always be a nation of law and order. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. To those who engaged in the acts of violence and destruction, you do not represent our country. And to those who broke the law, you will pay.
Make the smart play with Virgin Media. Check out their smart home packages at Virgin Media George's Street, Waterford.
Sponsors of the sports news on WLR.
Starting with soccer, where Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp says his side will go into their FA Cup game against Aston Villa this evening with every intention of progressing to the next round of the competition. They're likely to face a youthful Aston Villa side after the third round tie was given the go-ahead despite a large number of Villa's first-team players testing positive for COVID-19. Klopp says the game is an opportunity for his side to improve their form.
I think we only won 2 of the last 6. Drew 3, lost 1. That's not the standard we expect from ourselves, obviously. So we don't take it easy.
Kick-off at Villa Park is at 7:45, while at the same time Wolves entertain Crystal Palace. The Waterford and District Football League have elected a new committee at an online meeting held last night. 10 members were put forward to form the new committee, with 3 of the previous retained and 7 new names. Munster FA Administrator Barry Cotter says it's good to move forward.
We've been working with the clubs in Waterford over the past months now, we've had 1 or 2 meetings. They've all been good meetings. The clubs see things need to move forward. We need a strong committee there, and credit to all the clubs. They went off for a few weeks there just before Christmas, spoke with their committees, and I think we've got what it looks like is there's a strong committee that has been elected last night.
In rugby, Leinster will look to get back to winning ways after their shock defeat to Connacht last week. They take on Ulster in the Pro 14. Going into the game, Dan McFarlane's side are the only unbeaten team in the competition. Kick-off at the RDS is at 25-8. Connacht and Munster have both named their sides to line out in the clash at the sports ground tomorrow evening. Andy Friend has made 4 changes to his side that beat Leinster last weekend. James Cronin will return from injury to start in the front row for Johan van Grand's side as he makes his 100th appearance in the competition. competition. In cricket, Ireland set a target of 270 for the UAE in the first of 4 one-day international between the sides in Abu Dhabi today. Paul Stirling finished on 131 not out as Ireland reached 269 for 5 off their 50 overs. In reply, the UAE were 221 for 3 off 44 overs a short time ago. Sports news on WLR is thanks to Virgin Media Waterford.